Enemies have grown fierce. Use all that you have learned.
While you're out.
Watch out. I'm detecting void fissures nearby. Do you have a matching relic?
Ta-ta.
Fissure. Defend yourself and use reactive to overbalance. Erupting holes are dropping reactive. Use it to crack open the relic. Keep fighting. Look for more reactive. Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching. Another has been cracked open. Finish your mission to find out what's inside.
Target is down.
Enemy is broken. Well done. I'll get to extraction.
Eyes on.
Stay focused.
I think the downside of trying to go down any legal route is I'm not a lawyer. And there's also multiple countries involved, and Canada being one of them, and Canada has some really stupid laws about a lot of things.
Very good.
I don't think that's really I don't have the time for that kind of stuff, to put it simply. I think the probability of there being a solution, that's really the last solution. Like the last outcome in my mind is that, because that's a whole minefield of problems in comparison to what I think they should really do. Like I'm still under the mind that out of all of the options that they have, the one that makes the most sense just across the board is to buff normal Excalibur space stats. Yeah. Yeah, and that, even then, it's like you're talking someone who has probably the time, like someone a professional in this space. This is a hobby for me. This is something that I do to pass the time.
Watch out. I'm detecting void fissures nearby.
There's a matter of investment requirement for that.
We're near a fissure. The enemies are dropping reactants. Don't forget the reactant. You need more to open that relic. Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
Yeah, as I was mentioning, I think the solution that checks the most boxes is the buffing of normal Excalibur. But even then, that would be similar to how Umbra and Prime has like differences between them. So like Umbra has his own utility, and he fills this small niche within Excalibur. Like I'm right now using him as an example that I'm not using Warrior's Rest, I'm just using Preparation. And the consequences of that are pretty much non-existent, and I've been really trying to run into more of the bugs. Like, I'm almost under the impression that they've been stealth fixing some of these things, because over the last couple months, I've run into less and less problems with Umbra. And I don't know, like, I don't know if anyone else has had that same experience, but I've always been curious about the things that they don't include in the patch notes, because they don't want people realizing it was a problem. Because if they publicize it, then they have to potentially be questioned about it. So if talking about fixing some of these really small bugs within Umbra and his sentience, if they've been able to find them and fix them, then I don't know, like I've been running into less and less. Like I haven't run into the ability lock issue yet. And hopefully me saying that is enough for that to occur, because I'd like to see it. It's one of those, I don't know if it's fixed or not, but so far my indication is that I have not run into a lot of bugs. The new one that I found where I got like stuck in his kneeling mode, that's one of those minor ones that if I run into that once every 100 missions, I'm not too worried about it. But I have really enjoyed being able to play Umbra without having to run Warrior's Rest and not really having a negative consequence of his sentience. Like, I'm pretty surprised. Like, I am wondering if they did fix something in the background. Love to come back, but really want to, but it's so hard to find my goal so far. So I'd say there's a lot of completionist stuff to do in the game. Like, I took down the route of getting every single mod, which pretty much forces you to do conclave stuff. And there's only like a handful of mods that you can't get from the vendor. There's like 12 mods or so that are drop only from, here, I'll show this. It's like a handful of mods that are drop only from Conclave, that there's a bunch of people that have probably hundreds of them, and they'll sell them on the market for like 8 to 10 platinum a piece. There's this one guy I bought all of them from. But as an example here, like I only have the Velox mod that I don't have fully maxed out from the incomplete tab. But if you look at Conclave, I think there's a Conclave tab. Maybe I just search Conclave instead. I thought there was a Conclave tab. Oh well. But if you look at some of the Conclave mods, when you hover over them, there'll be a source associated with it. And that doesn't even give me what I want. But there's a source associated with it. Like, I think there's like a bow, like this guy. If I remember, this is one of them. There's a handful of mods. If you hover over them and you're incomplete, it'll have like drop source conclave, but it'll look different. And there's like 12 of them. You can only get them from playing actual conclave as drops, but people do sell them. The rest of them you can get from maxing out. Like if you go to, if you do Steel Path Circuit and then buy them with the rep, and it takes a while. It's a good fun farm. 3 unskippable ads, huh? I've had premium for a while, and I'm not sure. I don't see ads anymore because I've been on YouTube Premium for quite a while. But I just have the default configuration set for that. I think you can customize your ads in your Google account, but just as an example, like I'm pretty sure I bought all of these. Like not bought, but like got these all with rep. There's maybe a handful really early on that I had bought with platinum from another player, but just as an example, you can get, like, this is the vast majority of Conclave mods. There's only like 12 or so that you can't get from this vendor. From just doing Steel Path Circuit and then finishing those out. So that's a fun little completion thing. Same thing with getting all the arcanes, and I used Phosphor caches to get most of them. So I didn't go and farm specific things. Like I didn't go and farm the kick gun ones all the way up, or some of the other ones. I just used the Phosphor caches and then just RNG'd it until I got all of them. So there's a lot of fun things to do. I obviously taken extreme to that. I played pretty much one Warframe, and then I've been able to basically get by playing mostly one Warframe for a very long time, but that's not the average player's experience. So then, like, having everything built, like, I know a bunch of people that are at the point where I'm at, where you have like all the equipment, and then they take the stance of just maxing out everything, just having everything fully configured as best you can for that patch. Like, I'll experiment here and there with different melee weapons. I've been focusing quite a lot on just getting as good as I can and getting as much time on Ghoul Saw, because it's a lot of fun. On this Umbra build, I'm just running Bright Bonnet because, like, I got bored of running Radio Blind, and so I wanted to see, well, probably one of the most uniquely beneficial subsumes, on Umbra. How good is it actually in this build? And because it's not required, it's nice. You can, like, use it. You don't really, not really stressed about not using it, but in a scenario where I can just pop it down real quick, I just pop it down. Like right here. It's not super, you don't need the extra strength, you don't even need the subsume, so then it's just, like, you can use it when you want to. It's pretty nice that way. I didn't even change any of the Archon shards because I have a reliable energy source. I just literally plopped my previous video about sort of like the universal Arcane Circumvent build. I just plopped it into that. I did run for a while there. I was experimenting with Arcane Persistence again to sort of levy my, or like balance out my perspective running Circumvent for a while. And I really didn't like Persistence now. Like, I feel like Persistence is lacking so much in flexibility. Surging Dash is, I'm kind of spoiled by Surging Dash because it is such a nice quality of life for these kind of missions. I could run and do one of these kind of missions where I don't get max combo the entire time, even with Narman. Surging Dash just completely fixing that. And I found myself, even without running Circumvent, trying to roll through enemies. And so I figure I might as well just start using Circumvent. I've trained myself to use it so effectively now that... And it doesn't make a lot of sense with Persistence. And there's plenty of missions where, like, Persistence is nice because you can use, like, Hunter Adrenaline to maintain your energy. But then there's a lot of missions where enemies just don't hit you. Like, the AI is so bad that they just don't hit you, and so you don't get any energy. You can be in, like, a high-end mission and have no energy, and you're like, okay, well, I might as well not use Persistence if I don't need it for... if it's worse for Circumvent, and then also my energy is just not there. So outside of the niche things like the guilty mode, which I still play the guilty mode, I still will go through and test different builds and variations on the guilty. Like I did a run successfully with Guardian because I was testing Guardian with Circumvent to see how much you can stretch that. Since the uptime on Guardian is actually really good if you're taking damage. Keyword, if you're taking damage. I do think the Umbra mods just make so much sense. That's kind of I think it's just the reality of it. So Excalibur, and I was just experimenting with this too, of running Circumvent, Triple Umbral, and also Primed Redirection and or Primed Vigor. Because having like that balanced shields, health, and armor is just really nice. Especially with Circumvent, where you can get a lot of shield regeneration that way. But I found it was just better having the quality of life on Surging Dash. So like I'll use this as an example. So I've been playing around with this mod slot to see if I can find something better for this mod slot, and I was playing around with using both Prime Redirection and Primed Vigor in this slot to see if I liked it. But it just really came down to this is such a massive quality of life, and you don't need these if you're using Circumvent properly. Brief Respite, I kind of flexed with removing this, so increasing shields and or health, and then freeing up this mod slot. because this is still really high value to have. But then really the only thing that gets dropped into there that's kind of worth it would be like Steel Charge. And then if you're using Arcane Fury, Steel Charge kind of feels bad. But if you're using Arcane Strike, then Steel Charge feels pretty good. And you can flex this with some sort of extra defensive, because you don't really need this. This is quality of life, especially if you're not using, like if you're using Dual Liquor or you're using like Okina, that mod feels pretty worthless. But if you're using something that doesn't have an absurd, like Okina with its combo on slash targets, like this, it doesn't matter how low the enemy level is, you're probably stacking this because you can stack it with Radial Javelin even. But if you're using a normal melee weapon that doesn't have innate combo generation, even if you're using like Venka or something, then here, I'll do this. Well, that looks cool. Even if you're using Venka, what kind of skins? I forget what skins these have. They look. I think I use this one for Ripkas when I use Ripkas for Necros. But if you're using a weapon like this, not using Surging Dash on the vast majority of missions kind of feels bad. Like, that's kind of the reality of these two. These are both flex, but this is so nice for the vast majority of missions, and this is as well. That, yeah. Same thing with, like, Arcane Fury over Impetus. Like, I haven't really been using Impetus because you don't need that strength, and then this has pretty much 100% uptime, and you don't really have to worry about maintaining it. Because Impetus kind of has a combo counter like anxiety to it to keep those stacks up when you get them. And this is really just about simplifying things. And yeah, you can drop Bright Bonnet, you can drop whatever on this build. I think I'm going to remove the Subsume though, because it's been really fun. I still haven't used this Invigoration because I don't want it to mess up my testing. But it's like you don't even have to run a Subsume on this, and it feels really nice. You can run whatever. If you want to run Evade, I don't really care. The fact that you don't need a Subsume to level cap says that you can literally use anything and just be fine. It's kind of a preference there. Oh, I need to make sure I have Fury. Okay, I have Fury on this. This is kind of just a dumb influence build, but I have this Blast Riven that I can run on it, that I run with Afflictions, because the slide, yeah, the slide has a lift in it, so it feels really good that way. But just as an example, you can have something stupid like this. Which, thinking about it, like I might as well swap that for, probably doesn't, let's actually see. Oh, this is, now that I thought about it, I need to calculate this out. You'll see what I'm saying, what I'm looking at here as soon as I finish. Yeah, okay. So this is an example where, like, even though I have electric damage here, I have plus melee, I should actually not run this, and I should run this instead. I should run this instead, because the status wing for it gets it now from less than 50% chance to proc electric to 1.9 to 65%. And the loss in damage isn't that significant, like 100, yeah, like 180 damage loss, but that increased status wing of electric is going to be more valuable. So I'll run a mission with this. I'm just kind of popping fissures, or popping relics, because I don't really ever do that. And when there's an exterminate up, it feels good just to knock one out. Turned 8 years, yeah. I remember when, before they had, like, I was running it on Prime before they added the Umbra forma, and it's just you had to run like a really low, like I had run a bunch of Gladiator mods to get the Umbra set to fit without running into problems before the Umbra forma. And then I've burned so much Umbra forma, like the Umbra forma we just got, it's on Excalibur Prime already. I put a 3rd Umbra polarity in him because there's some things that get really, really tight on Umbra I mean, they get really, really tight on Excalibur with only 2 Umbral forma. Like some of the higher cost mods you can't test with one another. And so I did that just because I'm especially with Circumvent. I think with how good Circumvent is, triple Umbral is kind of required. I've played around with running like primed vigor and then freeing up the mod slots, but just as an example, the build already has a free mod slot. When you're running Afflictions and you're running Circumvent, you already get a free mod slot. So then, like, if you really wanted to run Chromatic Blade on it, then you could do that. But I don't really think Chromatic Blade's that good, especially with Afflictions. I think it's kind of a waste. I'd rather have the combo generation than that. So that's where Triple Umbral on melee builds just feels really good, even if you have Circumvent. Like, technically you get better benefit out of Circumvent that way, but then you also get... it's just sort of a convenience set on a melee build, where being able to mitigate toxin damage is nice.
Down you go.
And the Venka 13x does apply, so I've gotten a couple questions about that. The 13 times multiplier, the benefit it has to slash dash is still the case. I did verify that. The math was actually wrong, like the multiplicative value is wrong. So I actually went through and I did it multiplier by multiplier to figure out that making sure it's a linear relationship mathematically. And so I did it from all the way from 1x all the way up to 13x, and it was a consistent 25% multiplicative. And so I updated the math on it. It was off by like a multiplier. Run Circumvent, Fury, 4 Violet, and Influence. So here's the catch-22 of running Influence with Circumvent. You're gonna nuke all of the overguard of the enemies around you within like probably a 50-yard radius, or 50-meter radius, just because you not only have the targets within your wave area, but then you have the waves that can hit targets behind those targets and then proc influence. So then you're basically nuking all of the overguard and not killing the enemies. This isn't like if you kill all the enemies around you, then you don't need overguard. Well, you nuke the overguard with influence, but then you don't actually kill them. And so you just have these Aximists that are overguard stripped that you can't roll to steal their overguard from, because influence is too effective as an AoE, but not effective enough to just kill everything, enough to not need the overguard. So it's kind of the catch-22 of running influence. And you kind of want more strength than what I put in this build. The nature of Afflictions is that you can run ridiculously low strength. One of the things that I had tested that was quite interesting was taking the Guilty as an example. When I was doing the Guilty yesterday with a build variation, I was able to basically one-shot the Daclylist with Exalted Blade. So in my previous runs of the Guilty that I have clips of, I don't use Exalted Blade at all. Well, it turns out if you use Exalted Blade and then heavy attack on the Daclylist, so whether it's a spam or whether it's a Tennokai proc, you will basically one-shot them, because you can proc Afflictions with it. There's some of those bosses that you can proc Afflictions with, and it's quite crazy. Like, you're talking millions of damage dot ticks on the Daclylist. So then that's kind of been my new strategy for it's been my new strategy for that, where once I get to the Daclylist, my weapons usually don't scale, because, you know, you have this ranged one, you have this one that's flying up in the air, and unless it's Contagion, it's not going to scale well. Well, even with Contagion on the build, Exalted Blade does a far better job at killing the Daclylist, even if you're just using Tennokai procs, because of the way it stacks Afflictions. Do I only run the Nikanaza? No, I've ran this one that I did yesterday. What melee weapon did I use? I used the Okina. The Okina is hilariously powerful. I recorded it, but I'm not going to upload it. I feel like just uploading every single run I do of, like, every single variation of run I do on the Guilty isn't worth it. That's kind of spammy.
There are rich enemy supply caches in the area, but I am to pinpoint their exact location. Search them out if you are willing to shoulder the
But yeah, the Okina was probably the most effective. It was probably on par in effectiveness with running Contagion.
You are going to need to be active. You want to open that harbor.
I feel lighter already.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
Oh, one thing I've thought about making a video on, but I might as well just mention it. I'm kind of waiting until the patch actually comes out instead of just speculating on it, but the knockdown changes, I wouldn't be surprised if those knockdown changes that they're making are from a lot of the push with Excalibur Umbra. That's speculation. That's maybe some hopium on my part. But I feel like Excalibur will probably end up getting what he's been getting the last several patches, which is every single major patch, there's something Excalibur related. And so instead of making a big sweeping change to him, that they'll drop little tiny things here and there, instead of having a big patch where they talk about, like they did with Nidus, of a retouch. Like they'll change one thing and then they'll change another thing. So I'm hoping, the hope is that there's like a quality of life, even if they don't announce it, but a small quality of life where they just buff Excalibur's base stats. And then it's just he's got the same base stats. And it's one of those things that you'll miss unless you're a Excalibur main and scour through the patch notes, or just something they drop in there that they try to not make too public. That's what I feel like they're gonna do with Excalibur. They'll make little change here and there, and then just try not to get too much. Nami solo. The problem I have with Nami solo is I never liked the stances. So I never really cared. Like the machete stances, I never really liked them. And I think something like the Ghoul Saw kind of does Nami solo's job better. Like the spin move that you get from Kuva Ghoul Saw, it kind of has like the features of the Nami solo, but then it also has the forward mobility of like Blind Justice, and then it has the heavy attack of like a Nikana. So it just has like Ghoul Saw really has everything. It's kind of hilarious how good the Ghoul Saw is. Like when they made this stance, they were probably like, let's make this stance have literally everything in it. Because it's like the neutral attack is one of the easiest neutral attacks to use in the game. Just the forward neutral attack. It's neutral. It's like actual neutral attack has a lot of features built within it. The Rip and Ride is one of the best mobility tools in the game. The block neutral, the spin move on that is like basically what I think everyone likes about something like Nami solo. It's got the best heavy attack in the game because of all of these 4 statuses and the fact that you actually strip Overguard off your enemy before it gets to the knockdown. So then if you use Afflictions, then boom, you've got basically the best heavy attack in the game. Those are, yeah, whatever. It's got a powerful enough ground enemy. The finisher on Ghoul Saw is also very enjoyable to watch. It's got a very good finisher on it. It's just such a good weapon. Like I feel like people are warming up to this as they play more of it. I don't know what kind of nonsense people had to convince themselves of to think that the Ghoul Saw was bad. I heard that. I haven't seen that myself, but I heard people were complaining that the Ghoul Saw was bad, and I don't know what planet those people are living on, but they're not living in reality, to put it simply. I think they just weren't using it. Because it isn't an easy stance to learn. Well, I wouldn't say it's a hard stance to learn, but it's like you have to learn the design of the stance before you can use it effectively. And I think once you do, it's definitely one of the best melee weapons in the game. But the stance itself might actually be the best stance in the game. Replacing the Riven, it depends. If you don't want to run Influence, then replace the Riven with Toxin and then run Gas and run Afflictions. So that's like my V2 variation of it. The reason I'm running Blast Electric on this is because of the way that it scales with Afflictions on Slash Dash. I don't really like running doubled up Afflictions. Oh look, I got knocked down. Oh no. yeah, the whole knockdown thing, if what they change is actually really, really nice and high quality of life, I probably won't use Prime Sure-Footed at all because, especially with Circumvent, the ability to get Overguard and then Slash Dash in itself, the thing to remember is that they're not just increasing that window from jumping on Knockdown, they're also adding Roll to like reduce the recovery time on a Knockdown. So it's like this two-pronged thing. It's going to be easier to hit that tiny little window to be able to basically resist a knockdown, but then also it's going to have rolling in it. So if you're running Circumvent and you're rolling towards enemies anyways, then you're going to trigger it. Like the timing related with that, you might just be doing it passively if you're running Circumvent. So I don't know what's going on here. We're just going to kill these guys through the wall here. I think I found him. This is the most useful part of the minimap, finding enemies to kill through walls. Alright, you ready? Someone ready here? Yeah, like, as not only a mobility tool here, but, like, boy, is the stance good. Because, like, all I'm doing here is I'm slash dashing, I'm holding block. I'm pretty much holding block the whole time. The other thing to note, too, that I genuinely didn't even know this, because I've used Prime Sure-Footed for so long, I didn't even know this. You actually can block a lot of knockdowns. So, like, the Corrupt Heavy Gunners, you can actually block their knockdown. So there's a lot of knockdowns that if you're playing like I play most of the time, where I'm holding block pretty much continuously, just because of the way most stances work, like Dual Licker stance and everything, you're probably blocking a lot of knockdowns as is. So knockdowns was very soon, like Circumvent plus those changes is probably going to make knockdowns just no longer a big deal, especially on Excalibur when he's got Overguard, he's got Overguard immunity. Yeah. You'll run into this scenario where you'll probably get knocked down in low-end missions, and that's about it. Because lower-end missions, you might not have the ability to reach an overguarded target. That might be the only consequence there. Yeah, this neutral, the forward neutral, the block neutral, everything is just really good. There he is. I'm just gonna kill him as operator, wherever he going. I pinged him. Come on, Umbra, you can do it. Someone might need that. Yeah, like I said, I within this patch, I have not run. The only bug I've run into this patch is the one where I like happened to get downed as soon as, or no, I didn't get down. Umbra's Spectre went and kneeled at the same time that I transferred back in, and then I was stuck kneeling until I got downed by an enemy. Like I was basically, I was basically stuck doing that. That one's at least correctable. As long as you've got enemies around you to kill you, you can fix that one, because unstuck didn't work, nothing worked, except for getting downed. And that's the only bug I've run into so far this patch. And I played a good amount of Umbra so far this patch. There's some overguard. Thank you. The thing too, talking about influence on a Circumvent build, you really want to be slash dashing, and slash dash with influence really isn't that great. Why change camera angle? Oh, so my camera, I got a different camera, but my camera used to be on top of my display, and the bezels on my new monitor are really tiny, and I kind of didn't like having it up there anyways, and so I just side mounted it instead. So it's on an arm that I can adjust as needed, as disorientating as that might have just been. But you can see the edge of my monitor right there. So if I wanted to do that, there you go. Now you can't see me. Now you can. So then I just tune it like that. Don't want to miss my Kuva. So that's why I changed that. It's convenience for desk layout, and then not having it on top of my monitor, on top of the monitor, it's kind of lame. Let's see. I'm gonna scroll up. How do you roll and slash dash for overguard steal? You can interrupt your slash dash with roll. That's the way I do it. So then a lot of times this takes a lot of skill, and I've gotten pretty decent at it. But you have to see, ideally you see an overguarded target before you hit them, and then you roll, and then you'll basically get up to the target and then roll through them instead of slash dashing them. It's not easy. I can tell you, it's not easy. I'm struggling to get the timing on that. But as you get higher in level, the enemies don't get one-shotted by slash dash through their overguard. They'll still get one-shotted when they don't have overguard, but while they have overguard, once you get past like a level 150, they usually don't lose all of it. And then they've got hundreds of thousands of overguard. So then you only need 10,000 of that. You only need to steal 10,000 of it to do that. Let's see. I'm going to do a different one. I'll go invite only here then. Oh, look, Titan. Might as well crack relics going here. What server am I playing on? I live in the United States, and I've only ever played on the North America servers.
Are worthy foes. Underestimate them at your peril.
Watch out. I'm detecting void fissures nearby. Do you have a matching relic? They have just shut down all systems. I'm sending life support capsules
Oh,
your way.
look at that. Thanks, game.
Bypass. Use that at a console to help our operative.
So it's like you can do the double combo slam in order to make your combo generate faster, but depending on the mission, it probably isn't even necessary. Like right there, it wasn't necessary. I don't know why this terminal was so far away. So let's see if I can find myself an Eximus unit so I can show you what you're asking for. So I don't even really like running influence on this because at a mid-tier of mission, I'll run into that issue where, so like right there, how I hit him, but I didn't fully strip his overguard, and I was still able to roll as soon as I hit him and still get overguard from it. Well, when you have lower end missions, there's a lot of, I think it's once you get past like level 60. Once you get past like level 60, you'll probably just one-shot Eximus with a slash dash anyways, and so you have to be kind of careful if you actually want to get the overguard. And you do want to get the overguard so that you can have the knockdown immunity from it. But as an example, here, I'll try to do it here. So like right there, I didn't hit him, but I rolled before I reached him. And you're able to steal the overguard that way. Like landing that is not easy. I'll tell you, it's not easy to do, but it is clearly possible. The timing for that is definitely a pretty advanced thing. Like right there, I one-shot his overguard with just the neutral, so then I didn't get the overguard from it. Like right here, there you go. Easy enough. I didn't one-shot his overguard. It really is kind of a self-correcting issue. If you need the overguard, the enemy will probably have it. The only downside, and this is specifically with like influence, you're probably going to nuke all of the overguard off of everything in the 50-meter vicinity before you're able to actually get it. So it's kind of counter, like right here, right there. So I just did that there. So I didn't actually hit him. See how he even still has overguard there? It's just the timing for that. That's not an easy thing to do. It's definitely a pretty high skilled thing to have to do. Just keep it in mind. It's just more opportunity to get better, and to the point where I'm like, it even took me kind of a bit to do that. And I was already rolling through enemies as is, so I didn't really have to change my gameplay style that much. I never got into rolling guard. I never liked rolling guard, so then I didn't have to relearn how I roll. That's the people that are probably going to struggle the most with Arcane Circumvent, or the people that relied on rolling guard, that didn't adapt to when 1999 came out, and you got shield immunity on slash dash. I know a lot of people that still use overguard on Excalibur in order to make him survive, and Circumvent definitely makes that harder to learn if that's what you're used to. The gas cloud's just doing work anyways. But here's a fun thing that I like to do. So we'll pull out Exalted Blade for a little bit, but I got Tauren Strike, so I can get full combo just from the Tauren Strike. So I've been generally running... When I run Exalted Blade, I generally run it with base attack speed just because, like, I don't really use Exalted Blade like this, where I'm melee attacking with it. I'm using it largely with slash dash. So then I'm not sitting there spamming it. I think if you're running an influence build, you definitely want a lot of attack speed, but until then, I don't really see an advantage in it. Yeah, I never liked... Yeah, exactly. That's where I never liked rolling guard, because of the fact that it breaks this like core mechanic. Since I forget how much it is, but it's like you get, I think it's like 75% damage reduction when rolling. So then you kind of want to be rolling. Rolling is a core mechanic on survivability, especially in these melee builds. So doing like what I did there, where I'm using roll to connect with targets and using it to break stance combos and stuff, you just sort of innately use the proper mechanics for roll. So like there's parts of the stance. So if I look at, wow, okay, I didn't even know this. You don't get the stance thing when you have Exalted Blade out. But there's a lot of parts of the stance for Exalted Blade other than the heavy attack that Knockdown. I think it's in the neutral. The neutral, like that right there, has a knock. But really, it's like you proc Tennokai, and your Tennokai is what's going to really do it. There is also, I keep forgetting to test this, but the heavy attack, the slide heavy attack wave, I want to make sure that doesn't scale any differently. So it doesn't appear to. Just looking at it real quick, because it would one-shot if it's scaled differently. But I haven't played that much with the slide heavy attack on Exalted Blade. I usually just do the normal. Oh. See, this is why Surging Dash is really nice. Because all I have to do now... I rolled at the wrong Eximus unit there. 89 million. And some people say this build doesn't hit that hard. Let me see, do I have this one? Yeah, I do. But Surging Dash does a really good job at giving you all the combo you lose when you get nullified. Even at this low strength because of the double. I don't even think I've been having Furious Javelin stacks out. Oh no, it's Malice. I think it's funny to kill him with that. Like right there, I slash dash to the target in front of the Eximus, but then I rolled through the Eximus. And slash dash is your friend, because remember, you got overguard immunity when you're slash dashing. Now you do. Keyword. Shadowgraph. Kind of like I was talking about with them giving Excalibur these little buffs every single major patch. It's like, I'm pretty sure if you look back at from, I think, even Whispers in the Wall. They've done something to Excalibur every single patch. Like, I'm probably easy to fact check that, but I don't know if the wiki's been updated with all of the changes. But it seems like every single major patch, they've done something to Excalibur, either directly or indirectly. And in the next patch, fixing rolling, or like rolling through to break like a knockback or reduce the time on a knockback, is definitely an indirect buff to Excalibur. Just because of how problematic it is with his Exilis mod,
All share in this
his
bounty.
augment.
Hold out as long as you can.
Oh, let's get that overguard. I'll probably extract here. Yeah, Truth's Flame, I like it's not giving up on Truth's Flame. It's the problem is I was learning 2 brand new systems, and I really like disciplines and the consistency of it, and my timing on how I use melee weapons is so ingrained into that timing that Truth's Flame has its place, and it's cool for the people that want to use it, but you probably won't find me regularly using it. I think it's pretty niche to use, but for the people that do enjoy it, that's where you see some of my content talking about Truth's Flame. This build would definitely, this would work very well with Truth's Flame. The downside of Truth's Flame as well is on Exalted Blade, you don't get the Truth effect. So then if you wanted the Truth effect, you don't really get it. But in this case, it would be very good. And how I'm using Exalted Blade, Truth's Flame would be very good. It's just not my preference. I'm so well, like I said, I'm so well tuned to the way that Discipline's merit works that I just kind of stick to it. Some of that is me being functionally the equivalent to a boomer when it comes to Warframe. Playing this game a very particular way for a very long time. Relearning, making sure I'm rolling through enemies is a brand new thing that I'm focusing on right now. Do I have a Discord server? No, I don't have one that I really use for that kind of communication. I've been on the Warframe Discord server recently. I've been spending some time there when I'm on my 12-hour shifts and I'm bored because I spend about 11 hours waiting for things to happen instead of actively doing things. And so I've spent a decent amount of time on the Play Warframe server, the official one, because I'm hoping to, if I can change the narrative on that one in general conversations and kind of just dropping some of the things that I learned into the general there, that seems to be moderated and monitored in some capacity. And I've tried reaching out to one of the mods there, but I haven't gotten back on that, and their system for contacting a mod is broken or something. So just another avenue to sort of, I guess, spread the message, if you want to call it that. Oh, here, I'll show you this. So, like, as a reminder, this is what I'd run for most people. Melee Afflictions, Toxin, and then not corrosive, but gas. So then do a heat progenitor, and then the gas clouds from this on Afflictions will just hit like a truck. I just run, like I said, I run this because I'm priming targets with blast and electric, and then I'm slash dashing to stack it. So it's a really nice combo on this build for the way that Melee Afflictions works. This is the same exact build that I show in my most recent video. Oh, 3 minutes left on the exterminate. More Kuva, as much Kuva as I can for my weekly reset, where I will spend all of it immediately. Which I don't know if I'm gonna doom roll more Ghoul Saw Rivens. That's what I've been pretty much doing, just doom rolling Ghoul Saw Rivens, and it's probably not worth it at this point. I kind of have what I want, what I need. its disposition's going to take a long time to make it like really useful to actually have a Riven for it.
My intel suggests there are rich enemy supply caches in the area, but I am unable to pinpoint their exact location. Search them out if they are willing to shoulder the added risk.
Aha. See, like, I interrupted my roll or my heavy attack there
Look out for reactants.
to roll.
Defeat the competitor and use their reactant to open a relic. We're going to need more reactant. Want to open that relic?
I'm still enjoying the heck out of. I actually played a little bit yesterday with Dual Ichor for the first time in a while, and that was nice. Come on, guys, you can do it. I can get passive aggressive here. Oh, there we go. We're good.
Collected enough reactant to open your relic.
I thought about, for the sake of memes, I don't even think Furious Javelin is required at level cap. So I've thought about, for the meme value of it, is taking Excalibur Umbra, no augments to level cap, which the only ones that I took to level cap that previous video were the Surging Dash and Furious Javelin. But in a lot of the things I've done, as long as you prime a target somewhat, you really don't need Furious Javelin in most of the scenarios if you armor strip them. Like if you armor shield sort of strip them. Because there's plenty of times you probably see that I don't have Furious Javelin stacks up and the enemies, they don't get one-shotted by the resulting status proc, but they get pretty close. You know, maybe 1 or 2 status procs and they'll die. But you really don't need high stacks to make Furious Javelin worth it. Usually even just 1 stack is pretty good. Where are these enemies at?
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching. Marines inbound.
Oh, the only bad part about the Kuba Ghoul, or the Ghoul Saw in general, is its slam attack, and if that's the compromise on preventing it from having literally everything, then that is literally perfect. That is perfection right there. The slam attack, I don't like slams. I use them when they make sense, but the like abusive slam sort of meta that seems to dominate right now, I really don't like. I don't think it's fun. If people want to do it, then go for it, but I don't find that fun. I don't find it as good as doing melee in the way that I generally play melee, which is a lot more dynamic. Oh, that's the only thing I've noticed too about Ghoul Saw. It's taken me a while to get used to. When you break a slam, you have like sideways momentum because of the wind up. So like here, like right there. So I didn't turn to the right on that. It's just when you slam with it, that spin that you do, it seems like you have momentum in that direction, and so you should turn your camera to the left when you're slamming, even just for mobility with Ghoul Saw. With low dispo just meant for the utility of replacing mods. I think in general Rivens are quite obsolete for most weapons because like this is kind of the hot take here, but I don't really think it's a hot take, but community wise it kind of is. The disposition on most Rivens don't make them worth having a Riven for. And I think a great example is like Venka. So if we look at Venka Rivens here, for me to even get close to making this worth the value of 2 mods, it's got to be a +2 -1. So like this almost gets to the equivalency of let's see, and this could be just the weighing of it. So like maybe it weighed lower on the melee damage roll, but just as an example, like this is ever so slightly worse on melee damage in comparison to this mod, and then relative to its electric damage, it's slightly more valuable than Shocking Touch. But that's because it's a +2 -1. If this was a +2 or a +3 -1, it would probably not, it arguably worth it. So you pretty much have to get a perfect roll to be able to make a Riven worth it on most weapons. And the reality is that you're probably not going to get that, and it's probably not worth the platinum to do it. So I wouldn't recommend doing it. And it's just because, and this is where the hot take comes in, that I don't think the like Riven meta has really adapted to the fact that elementalist mods exist. Because before Jade Shadows, before Jade Shadows, this didn't exist. And you're talking not only the galvanized mod, but the original version. And this is one of those, as long as you have status damage, this is functionally required. And it's going to be the most valuable mod in that slot, probably more than most Rivens even, to be able to get that status damage. Because it turns out a lot of melee weapons especially do a lot of status damage, especially if you have like blast and those sorts of things that do it immediately. And I don't think the meta really adapted to that. So you look at how crowded this weapon is. I really only have flexibility on melee damage and electric damage here to be able to run this build. And this is with just a single element. Where things get complicated is like if I wanted to run blast electric here, I have blast. I have a mod that takes up 2 mod slots, or it gives me a free mod slot when it comes to element wise. But then I can't fit electric in here without sacrificing attack speed or damage or range. So that's when you kind of need a +3 -1 that's triple element and in the perfect order for you to be able to run that. That's where the thing that I even mentioned way back when they announced Kuvagul Saw, the advantage of this is that I already had this Riven for a very long time. I rolled it a long time ago. I can actually run Blast Electric because you have basically an extra mod slot worth of value out of the Valence Override system. So, or the Valence Progenitor element, whatever you want to call it. So then I can run a plus or just 2 elements on a Riven, like a Forced Blast Riven, and then get electric out of that. And the blast will do less damage and the electric will do less damage. But like I mentioned, this is really helping to prime targets so that when I slash dash them, I'm stacking it. It's not necessary, but it's a cool, fun way to play. And that's why you've been seeing me do that. Hate is probably the worst example of this, where like the meta for hate Rivens is so awful in comparison to what you really want to have on a hate Riven. Because I'll take this as an example. The hate gets so tight, especially with burning hate. If you actually want to make use of burning hate, which is probably why you're running hate in the first place, it gets so tight that you pretty much need a Riven like this, where I could get rid of Primed Reach, Prime Pressure Point, and Prime Fury with just one single Riven, because of the way the scaling works. Where what's usually not worth it is range. Range doesn't scale very well on Rivens, just in general. That's where like range on most Rivens is not that good. It's just the reality of it. That's why I usually stay away from it, because it's not very high value. Because if you were to be trading a slot for a slot, this isn't as this is far more valuable than this range. But if you look at the attack speed is overvalued relative to Prime Fury. So then if you had to choose, it's like you'd rather put attack speed on the Riven and melee damage on the Riven rather than range. So I just don't think range is very good on Rivens. Luckily, people will spend stupid platinum on buying Rivens with range on them, and therefore I make platinum from that. Thank you, game. Take another example where a Riven's probably worthless, and I would not recommend getting a Riven for Venato Prime unless you're looking at it for like a long-term investment thing. I don't know. They're probably pretty expensive. Let me look, actually. Venato Rivens are probably pretty expensive baseline, and it's just not worth using one. Well, they're not too bad, like 50. I might even buy one to roll it just to see what I can get. But I would say the only thing that would be worth having Riven stats on is probably damage, attack speed. But then I'm pretty sure if you had, with how low the dispo is this, you're not going to replace Prime Pressure Point reasonably, and you're not going to replace Shocking Touch reasonably. So then you're making a sacrifice to get one or the other higher, or in this case, it would be like if you want attack speed in this build, you would probably either be replacing Prime Pressure Point or Shocking Touch. So then you get a Riven like a +2/-1 with attack speed and range, or not, no, attack speed and electric, or attack speed and damage. And both of these scale really well on Rivens. So that's kind of the downside, just my little 2 cents about Rivens. Most of them aren't worth it now simply because it's just the stat weighing on them just doesn't make it worth it. I think definitely one of the best examples that I've shown before is like on this Okina Riven. This is basically no different in value to Gladiator Might in terms of modding. Like you look at this Riven, the only advantage I get is 105 melee damage, which is not insignificant for Excalibur with the way that his Furious Javelin works. But is it really worth like how much you're probably spending to get a Riven like this? No, it's not. Like I think I got that Riven for a pretty good deal, but I think I remember looking at them not that long ago, and they weren't actually that expensive to get a crit damage one, which is what I'd probably recommend for it. Well, you can get a cheap one right now, but it has minus range. And it looks like it actually is weighted for Okina Prime. -1 range, that's probably not worth it. The minus slash would be potentially worth it, but also not. But still, I would not recommend it. It's where +2/-1 Rivens actually have value because they're more likely to actually drop in and replace something meaningful rather than just being a downgrade, which a lot of Rivens are just simply downgrades. Like I can tell you with this guy, this isn't the only Nikana Riven I've rolled. So let me see how many I've sold some of these too. So just to put into perspective how long it took me to get a weighted, like a +2/-1 that was weighted properly to actually get 30 initial combo to replace Corrupt Charge. This one's got 172, this one's got 62, and this one's got 147. And I think I have 2 or 3 more that I had sold that I sold that were up in the 200, like 100, 200 roll range. So it took me forever to find a Riven with just a +2/-1 with something useful that had over 30 initial combo just to make use of a Riven on this build to replace Corrupt Charge. Like that's how like all I'm getting out of this Riven is the status duration, which is good. That is actually pretty good. But yeah, you're just run Corrupt Charge. Don't spend the amount of Kuva I did just to get this. But ideally, if you got like an element on there, like if I got cold, like initial combo cold, then I get viral out of it, and that would be pretty cool. Or damage, because if I got damage on it, then I could drop Prime Pressure Point and fit on range, because you notice this build does not have range, because I think I swapped it for this. I think I was testing that because this is a stupid high value mod. Zada's Whisper, I've played with it a lot. It seems to bug with Afflictions. Every time I ran Zada's Whisper, slash dash hits about half as hard, and it seems like it's bugged. I've tested it every few patches. I haven't really been able to say definitively if that's the case or not, but every single time I've used it, I notice I do less damage in Simulacrum and in real missions. It took me a while to figure that one out, but I wish Zada's was a drop-in thing. It's why you probably don't see me talking about Zada's, because, like I said, every single time I used Zada's Whisper on most of my builds, I actually had a reduction in damage. I don't know why. If it bugs with Afflictions, if it bugs with something, it's just it's been hard to test. But when I have actually tried and isolated tested it, it seemed like I was doing half the damage. Like the actual raw damage values I was hitting was half. And I have a kitty on my lap now. I don't know if you can see kitty on my lap, but there's a cat now on my lap. Is there any fissures worth doing? Let me think. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything before I hop into more missions. Am I using a controller? So I use a controller when I play on mobile, and I do actually play on mobile quite a lot. Nowadays, I do play on quite a lot. I am testing multiple controllers right now. I'm testing multiple mobile controllers. I have 4 controllers for mobile right now. And so I'm testing those. I had 2 that I just got, and they both already are kind of trash. But there is definitely a controller that is so far winning out in comparison to the rest of them for overall convenience and usability. I'm just going to solo go into this. My in-game name is the same as my YouTube name. Axie Relics. Let's see. Yeah, and just to confirm, talking about Rivens and Ghoul Saw, it is really utility. Like, the Riven I have for the Ghoul Saw is... it's actually perfect. Because I'm using the sacrificial mods, I don't have an innate source of crit damage. So having basically blast with crit damage is functionally best in slot for the way I build it. I would rather not have minus finisher because, as an example, using finishers in the Ghoul Saw is a lot of fun. But minus finisher doesn't seem to really negatively impact its ability to kill most things. Not that finishers are are that useful. They don't proc like influence or status or anything like that. So they're marginally useful, but it's a fun thing to do. You know, you can do finishers in game because they're fun. It doesn't have to be the most effective strategy for you to do them. Like that. Like, look at how cool that is. You gotta come in from behind. This is some real, like, Doom stuff right here on doing these finishers. Like, stabbing it in their back and then lifting them up with it. Too bad it's not there. I tried to find some reason to just do nothing but spam finishers with the Ghoul Saw, and it wasn't worth it, but that doesn't prevent you from just doing it for the fun of it. So as an example, this is all I really do. You slash dash, you're holding block, and then you're breaking it with the left mouse button to do the spin move. Ooh. 240 meters away. What is this?
Put it in a console to briefly disable security protections.
Melee Vortex with Circumvent, yeah. The nature of it, and this is something that I was playing around yesterday with pulling out my old dual liquor build. It does synergize quite well because of the fact that you don't get, if you didn't know, Vortex doesn't pull in overguarded enemies. So then you can kind of prevent overguarded enemies from being hit. And it's a nice little bit of synergy there. I think I already stripped all the overguard off that. The only downside to Vortex on Circumvent is if you're actually hitting enemies and you're not like paying attention to overguard and rolling through them, it's very easy to strip out overguard when you have that much magnetic damage. So like right there, I actually stripped out all of the overguard just with influence off of my Ghoul Saw. That's just the consequences of it. Right there, actually. I didn't roll in time, and I destroyed all the overguard before I could roll through them. So I guess don't slam into it thinking you're going to interrupt it in time. Especially if you've gotten really good at not interrupting the slam's actual damage with a roll. Goodbye. should probably do. Yeah, I actually have a video showing this exact I think actually this exact build that I'm running right now. No subsume, preparation, surging dash. This exact ghoul saw build as well. Yeah, I think I have this exact build, a level cap run with this build. It's the no subsume Kuba ghoul saw level cap build run that I uploaded. And it turns out, if you use Circumvent, the way you're supposed to use Circumvent, it basically can carry you to level cap almost on its own. Yeah, I'll probably be streaming for another hour, because I'll need calories here in a hour and a half. And try not to get those in too late. Right, Kitty? Well, I think Kitty wants calories. I might have to go give my cat some treats real quick, because she's a little treat goblin. But she has to ask for them. I have taught my cat how to ask for treats. And to no one's surprise, she asks for them quite often, but not as often as you would think. She has slowly learned what a cooldown is when it comes to treats. Go get me some more tar and strike.
You praneth.
Haha, thank you, Overguard. So I'm playing a little bit more dynamically right now, like I'm not just sort of doing this where I'm spamming this combo. Like right there, I interrupted the roll, or interrupted the slash dash of the roll, and stole the overguard before actually hitting the target. So there's a lot you can do with this, but I won't sugarcoat the fact that Circumvent, to like use it effectively, definitely has a skill, like a pretty minimum skill ceiling to it that's not that low, I guess is the weirdest way I can describe that. Its minimum skill ceiling is pretty high. I think the simplest way to describe it. But I will tell you, it has been rewarding with how effective it is. Even after all these years of playing Excalibur, this has been a lot of fun. A lot of fun that I've had to force myself recently to like use one of my other build variations just to test and like sort of level my like give me like a reality check on how good it actually is. If I only ever played Circumvent, then it's like I'd be biased towards it at that point, versus switching to Persistence every once in a while in some of my other builds. Like I was using Null Star just a few days ago. I switched my Prime over to Null Star and was running that, and I ran into some limitations that I don't have on Circumvent, which is kind of funny. As good as that build is, it's like the survivability of using Circumvent is just too good, and it doesn't slot. Circumvent doesn't slot into that build very well, unfortunately, because same problem with Influence you have with Null Star, where it's really good at stripping out Overguard off of enemies, and then you're probably not in melee range that often with targets, and so you're not rolling through enemies like you are in this when you have Null Star. It does a really good job at being antithetical to the build, kind of like Influence. The fun part about finishers too is that you're immune when you do them. So if you wanted to use it as a way to soak some damage or a defensiveness ability, then you can do that. This Mr. Torment here, we're just gonna show him the world. Oh, well, look at that. That's one skilled acolyte there. Look at this. Look at this. Alright, we're just gonna kill him. Cancel it by using an emo? Oh no, that sounds... So this is the thing, this is what I'm hopeful for. So I haven't been able to test it because testing the current version of it, it's very difficult, but... And I don't know if this is the case, but I'm wondering if I can interrupt the knockdown, the continuation of the knockdown animation with slash dash. So like, you're rolling, you reduce the duration of the knockdown with the new roll and jump mechanic, or the improved one, and then you're able to slash dash and then break that animation with slash dash, because you can do that. You can break abilities, you can break a lot of stuff with slash dash. So that's kind of... I'm going to be testing it a lot. Like, I'm probably not going to be running Prime Sugar-Footed for a very long time when the patch drops, just to be able to test that properly. Especially with Circumvent, when you don't have Overguard. Okay, I rolled through him, and he got hit by a dot. It's like right there, I saw the Eximus behind him, so then I interrupted the slash dash with a roll. Alright, I think I'll leave this. I don't really care to crack this fissure. I'm not here to crack fissures. Yeah, talking about controllers more, this has also been one of the most controller-friendly stances I've ever used. This is so extremely controller-friendly that I don't feel like I'm having to do anything different using a controller with Ghoulsaw. Am I running Prime Redirection or Arcane Expertise? Nope, this is just the over shields you get from Circumvent. Because I'm in an Orcan mission, I'm getting both Corpus and, like, I'm getting Corpus enemies with shields. Let's see. I can actually look at this now. Zenistar. Oh, I haven't really played with Zenistar, but I will tell you, you're not going to be very happy when I show you the Riven I have for the Zenistar. I'll show you, Mr. Hyper. Oh yeah, that's a pretty solid one. Heat damage. Or heat cold damage. So I'll show you Hyper. I'll show you my Zenistar Riven for that build. And I don't really use this, but can you see that from here? Let's see. Let me there you go. That's my Zenistar Riven. So it's a... I don't really use it, but I found it on the market for like... Oh, how much did I pay for this one? I think I paid like 40 platinum for it or something. This is like double-digit platinum I paid for it. But it's a Forced Blast Electric Zenistar Riven. When I went to go use it, I really didn't... I didn't really like it. I didn't understand the Zenistar mechanic that well, and I didn't really care to learn it. I know it's like combo based and you throw the glaive out and all this nonsense. I didn't really care enough about it. Yeah, Ghoulsaw, the problem with Ghoulsaw Rivens in general. So I'll show you the Ghoulsaw Rivens I have. And I might still be rolling these. You know, I can show them like this. This is probably the easiest way to show them. Because of where I place my camera. So like the idea behind this one, and this is one I've been usually rolling because I don't really care too much for these, but this is a nice initial combo, I'll show you what it... So, like, the initial combo is at least 10. So then if you combine it with Corrupt Charge, you get at least 40. The attack speed is nice because you're not going to mod an attack speed, and it's a quality of life thing more than it is a bonus. And then crit chance, if it's a heavy attack build, crit chance is nice. And then combo duration doesn't really hurt. So this is a Riven that I probably just need to buy a new one and stop rolling this one and just keep it. But I'm dumb like that. That's the pro tip to making money off of Rivens is you get one that's good, you turn around and sell it for more than what you paid for it. And then eventually your plat just keeps going up. And sometimes you roll a god roll and sell it for 5,000 platinum immediately, which is what I did with Ghoul Saw not that long ago. My jump in platinum that I got was because I sold to one of the resellers who I think still has it. Let me see. One of the resellers bought it for 5,000 immediately because I don't care to sit on it. I think sitting on god rolls that aren't even that great for the actual weapon, being the crit damage, fire rate, or the crit damage, attack speed, range, and then mine had negative slide on it. Yeah, he still has it listed for 7,999 platinum. I don't think anyone's really buying that, but people are more than willing. If you get one of those god rolls and you turn around and put it on the market for 5,000 platinum, you will probably immediately get a whisper and sell it and just turn it, and then you don't have to worry about it. That's what I'd rather do. Well, let's see. Let me actually get out of this menu. But just to conclude this thought, it's like, as an example, if you want to blast, if you want to influence and then get blast, you basically need a Riven like this. And then a +2, -1 is probably better if you have crit damage, because if you look at how much crit damage you get in the Riven, well, now you're just getting less elemental damage, and 38 crit damage is really not that worth. It isn't really worth that much. So what I've been re-rolling Ghoul Saw Rivens to do is really to get a +2 with like minus efficiency, or even minus slash. I forget if you can roll slash on Ghoul Saw, but I'll probably keep rolling Ghoul Saw Rivens just to do that. I've basically been doom rolling them for that reason. In this, well, you don't have any range, so I'd probably get rid of Organ Shatter. And then if you're for crit chance, I would honestly, how much, what is the scale to? How much does that melee damage scale to on the Kuva version? It's probably only like 80 melee damage if I had to guess. If you want to confirm that with me. Oh, and I would avoid any sort of positive faction damage on Rivens in general. It would be better off having it just +2 than having faction damage on it, in my opinion. Because just remember that a +3 has lower stats on the values versus a +2. And when the disposition is at the literal bottom, you really want to do like +2 Rivens than +3s. Yeah, 60 melee damage. So what I would probably do, Dr. Good Cat, is I would get rid of the sacrificial set, get rid of Organ Shatter, run Galvanized Steel. Here, I can actually show you. I'll show you what I would run. I'll go to my random one. So yeah, I organize. I'm a little OCD about the way I organize my mod configurations. If you haven't noticed, they're all consistent for a reason. Unlike the way I have things ordered, I'm a little OCD on that. But that's what I would probably do. I probably wouldn't run the sacrificial set. I'd drop Organ Shatter, and then you can choose whether or not you want to run Prime Pressure Point, but then I'd put range on it. So like here, I think the core parts, just looking back at my actual configuration here, I think the core parts of this that you want to make sure you have set up right is the combo mods, Elementalist, range. I think attack speed scales too well not to use, even if you have attack speed from other sources. Prime Fury or Quickening are really good here. If you're comfortable with it too, Gladiator Vice, because if I remember, this is base 25% crit chance. And when you do that, it gets you from like like you have a red crit chance when you get into heavy attacks with the gal or with having like one of the gladiator mods in there. But if you prefer having more attack speed, I don't think it's worth it then. I think there's tuning. If you've seen a lot of my melee videos, I have a particular type of attack speed I prefer on most things. Stream got bugged. It's looking good to me right now. Let's see. Naga Tonka Riven good? I have no idea. I've never used that. I've put it into ESO, power leveled it, and then never used it. So, yeah. Yeah, farming Kuva is... I don't like farming Kuva the way most people farm Kuva. But doing the daily reset type stuff is pretty much all I really do. And then I think now with having the availability to get the Requiem fissures pretty easily, just to mention this, the Requiem fissures are fun. Like, it's only 1200 Kuva, but it's a fissure. If you can hop in, if the exterminate's up, then you can hop in real easily, do it, and then boom. But otherwise, Kuva survival might resurge just because of what they've done to this vendor. I think I'll show, like, this vendor, if you've got the FU level Riven slivers that most of us have that have been doing level cap missions for a long time, this is a really nice sync for it. And weekly, you can get a bunch of the Requiem fissures, and that makes this a lot easier to do, because otherwise, I actually bought Requiem fissures at one point, or I didn't buy them. I think I traded them. Like, someone had a bunch of Requiem fissures and they wanted normal fissures, so I just did a 1-to-1 trade because I wanted some Requiem fissures to be able to get some more Kuva from the 1200 Kuva that you get from it. But the disruption and stuff, and the exterminate and the survival, those are kind of fun to do for the Kuva missions. It's probably my only farming type recommendation for Kuva, because the arbitrations are kind of cringe on like how you have to farm arbitrations. I've done it only a couple of times. For example, if I go to Wisp, I have polarized Wisp Prime because of the fact that I actually used Wisp Prime probably twice in an actual mission to do meta arbitrations, and I hated it with a passion. I'm like, yeah, I'm never doing this. This isn't worth it. It's just not fun. You can see I'm kind of ready to play around with him, but I may or may not do that. Oh, do I still have him set up for... Yeah, see, I still have him set up for this because I've been experimenting with Guardian here and there as a solution, because this works with Arcwing. So that's kind of the little fun fact there. This actually does work with Arcwing. So you can actually get persistence on Arcwing from this Arcane. But the problem is that you have to take damage for that to happen. And if the mission's high up enough, unless you're using Amisha, you're probably taking lethal damage from a single hit. And so then this kind of doesn't really matter in some Arcwing cases. But I was potentially going to do it today, but I was going to do a follow-up on Arcwing. But there's some more stuff that I want to test before I make a follow-up for Arcwing, like a specific Arcane persistence video covering some of the stuff I've been testing for that, which a lot of it just involves using Amisha, because Amisha is just so good with its insane amount of health, and then it doesn't have enough armor, but it's got enough with how its abilities work that you can actually get persistence to trigger on this. But I'm still working on some stuff with that. It's just, I'm not finding persistence really worth using in general to make it worth it right now. Arcane Blessing. Yeah, there was a while where I was using that. The difference though is you can get, just like showing here, you can get 1800 health. And 1800 health is pretty good if you get persistence proccing with it. It's just the hard part is getting the armor to proc. But I've been using Amisha just in general now because having the defensiveness capability is just, my Arcwing does so much damage as is. The funny thing I was playing with too is the fact that, yeah, you can get the melee crit damage shards on your Arcwing melee, but also if you're running Fury or you're running Strike actually applies, and you can trigger this and use this on your Arcwing melee, and it feels kind of good, but it still doesn't do like, you're basically nuking the map in comparison to having to go to every single target for melee Arcwing. I think they just need to add melee. The melee arcanes to Arcwing, because keep in mind that would also hopefully then apply to Bone Widow, and Bone Widow with Afflictions or Influence would actually make it useful in comparison to now, where Void Rig is just way too good not to use. Now let's see. Yeah, I think that looks good. The other thing you can do too is if you do the math on your percentages for blast and electric, prime pressure point or one of the heat or cold mods, there's some math involved with that, but prime pressure point on Excalibur probably scales the best. It's just you probably have the same exact proportion that I do, and it seems to be fine, but you would have the flexibility to do that, having damage on the actual Riven. I'm clicking on the wrong thing here. Trying to think of the only difference here. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so your flexibility would be prime pressure point, because you get some melee damage here. You don't get as much, obviously, only 60%, but it's still pretty there's mod flexibility there. Damage scales one of the best. You would, if you had to choose, I would say if you calculate out the resulting status chance, seeing if electric is at least 50%. So calculating out the remainder status chance, which in both of our builds, that's times 0.32, 211%. 211.2%. So then what you do is you take that final status chance and then divide or multiply it by the division of the electric damage in the total. Because then like 300 divided by 1500 here, approximately 1500, would give you like a 20% chance approximately. It's like 19.98 or so. And that would tell you, well, you want to get this electric higher so that you're more likely to proc Influence with every single attack. Ideally, you get it to like at least 50% or 100%. Kitty just clicked keys. That was Kitty that just clicked the key. Oh, we'll show Kitty. Kitty tried to run away. All right, Kitty. Tell them all your secrets. You're just going to sit here and purr. Well, oh, Kitty. Careful. She's very sharp. Sometimes she's like juggling knives. Give me 1 second. I gotta start my dryer real quick. Okay, back to gaming. Kitty is good enough to play now. Yeah, she'd probably be better than some of the mobile players that use touchscreen inputs, because you basically playing this game with the touchscreen inputs is basically unusable. So controller is pretty much required. What I've been using for the most part, to answer a question probably no one asked, is out of my favorites so far is I have an MCon. I was able to pick up an MCon because they've been carrying them in Best Buy, actually. It's the like Snap or Snap-on, whatever it's called, MCon controller, the one with the little flip out. That one's actually surprisingly nice and comfortable. Actually, I don't use the little flip out handles. I find those actually make it less comfortable to use for me. But the weird difference I've come to is I have a backbone that I've used for a long time, I don't know if this is just me and my biomechanics, but the difference of me holding this versus holding this, I feel like I'm doing less work because I feel like when your hands are farther apart, you're actually using more of your shoulders than you are of like your biceps. When your hands are together and your wrists are kind of curled in, you're probably using more of your biceps to hold it up than you are using your shoulders. And for me, I found the MCon actually more comfortable than the Backbone Pro over time. Like it feels not as comfortable holding it in your hand, but the long-term consequence is that it is less comfortable for me. Just with the way I hold it, that could very well just be like my biomechanics than it is the average person. That can vary so dramatically just based on limb length and strength in various parts of your body. So I won't try to say that I speak for everyone on that, but it's worth considering. The MCon has actually been really nice, and I'm looking forward to the slim version. I'll be picking up the slim version when those become available. The slim and the light. I don't know what those enemies are doing. They're just kind of standing there.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the
I guess it's because I...
Activating it will buy you more time.
Oh, here's a fun fact. This is something that I was playing around with. So I'll pull out Exalted Blade here. But the slide blind does not open to finishers. So like right here, I'm tapping E. They got ground finishers because my companion's an absolute Chad, but this is regardless of if you have Radio Blind or Howl on Excalibur. But that's something I never really realized, that the slide blind does not open to finishers. So it is not very useful. But hopefully my augment idea, for those that haven't seen my augment idea, I was going to make a video about this at some point, about some things I think they need, the things I think they need to change on Excalibur version 3 or 4 at this point. But the augment idea I have about Radio Blind doing defensive stealing, kind of like Circumvent. So then you would be able to get defensives from Radio Blind, and it would actually make that ability useful. So it'd be a similar, gives you defensives, but also strips with like a base of 10% and a base of 10 seconds. With a similar cap, like the cap wouldn't be anything crazy. Probably even a lower cap. Like make it probably only like 1,000 for the overguard cap. But just something that you can use dynamically. I'm talking with some clan makes and stuff about it. One suggestion I saw as well was just making it like targets that are afflicted. Like if you hit a target right here, then when I hit them, I would steal their defenses. I think there's potentially some scaling issues with that, but it's another idea. Probably to make it a little bit more interactive than just being able to potentially sit here and spam it like this. With how fast the ability actually is. I'm thinking worst case, like both, like a two-prong approach. Like the initial cast steals a certain percent, and then when you hit them, it steals another percent. But there's definitely room for a Radio Blind augment that's actually useful, and defense stealing, I think, is probably one of the best ways to do that. Even if it's a small amount, even if it's not large, because you could just be using that dynamically. Ooh, oh dang. Get me some overguard. Where the Acolyte shows up. Just slash dash him to death. There we go.
The operative has just made your
Oh no.
Keep up the good work. When you are ready, go to
Turn that heavy gunner into an astronaut. Coda Haruto is actually really good, and I really like it a lot. Hello, hello. Hello, Michael. Yeah, Coda Haruto is actually really good, and it's definitely a staple of if you want to do hard modes. the hard modes, if you throw on like a persistence build, but you get enough armor, like Circumvent, all that good stuff, you can pretty much just do it with Haruto. With how powerful that is. The fact that it gives you health, and it has really good stats, and it does a lot of damage, and it's got really good slam to it, or really good heavy attack that has like a slam built in. It's really good. Coda Haruto. It's definitely one of my favorites. It's definitely Haruto is definitely in a top 10 list for melee. I don't know about top 5 though. I think for utility, it's definitely in the top 5. Oh. The Thalys. I kind of played with Thalys a bit. I got 4 forma into it. I was trying to do some things with it, but then, like, I was trying to test Vortex last time, doing like a Toxin Magnetic Vortex, but the way that the unique effect works is too complicated for my Excalibur brain, and I was having a hard time testing how these things work, and so I just kind of gave up on it, and I don't really like the stance on it that much, so then it's just kind of like, eh. It seems really cool though. The Haruto. I use the Haruto quite a lot. So Afflictions, I think I have this in my Afflictions video. I think I feature this in my Afflictions video because this effect is obviously extremely good, but then I build it for gas with Afflictions, and this works pretty well. Any melee weapons that are specifically good on Excal and not other frames? I'd say Dual Ichor Vortex kind of gets into that category. So because of the way that the clouds work, having all of this elemental damage, but then just stacking as much melee damage as possible is really good. And it synergizes extremely well with Furious Javelin. And the fact that you could put another Subsume on him that usually an ability like Furious Javelin would be unique with, like Roar and Eclipse and all, and a Nourish and all that kind of stuff. You can subsume it on him, and then boom, you've got like one of the best melee weapon builds in the game with Dual Ichor on Excalibur. Otherwise, I don't really think there's too much. It would have to do specifically with interactions. Like I guess Venka's not too great in general, but the innate 13x does buff slash dash for now, until they change the way slash dash combo works. But this does in fact buff slash dash additionally. Another 25% multiplicative isn't huge, but if you weren't using anything in particular and you wanted to use Venka on him, it is still good. It still works exactly the way it used to, because they really didn't change much when it comes to the way slash dash works. It still is a pseudo exalted in the traditional sense. Let's see what else is particularly good. I think there really isn't too much that is particularly good. It really just comes down to what scales well with Furious Javelin and what doesn't. And Dual Ichor Cloud scale extremely well. Vinquist takes up your melee and your primary. So there's kind of a fun bug. I'll show this. Ventriquist. So this is kind of a funny bug. So if you equip this and you don't have a secondary equipped, and then you go to unequip. Oh, they fixed it. Okay, this used to be a bug that I was trying to see if I could get no melee weapon equipped, but it lets you unequip one of these. So you could unequip one of these and then break your loadout, and then it would force change your loadout with like a bunch of random inserts. So I thought that was kind of funny. So they clearly fixed that. I don't know if that was in the most recent shadow. I think that must have been Shadowgrapher where they fixed that. Okay. Yeah, I didn't really like the bayonet weapon. I don't know how to pronounce that word, so I don't even try. The bayonet weapon, I didn't really like the stance on it. I feel like it's a missed opportunity. I feel like they could have done like a perpetual charge with the stance where like you do a forward block neutral and then it just charges and it kind of works like Ghoul Saw, and they just completely missed that opportunity. And that would have been a lot of fun. If it was like a rip and ride sort of thing where it has like a forward charge that stabs and has like forced puncture as you're stabbing enemies, that would be really cool. But they kind of missed the mark on the stance with it. I think there was a lot cooler stuff they could have done to it. Ooh, look at these fissures. Nothing fun. I don't see anything useful there. I haven't really been doing the event alerts. I don't really care to do them. I've got all the rewards, I think. So then I haven't really been doing these. Just didn't care to do them. I don't think I got any of the extra rewards. Like I got the cosmetic, the unique stuff from the event, and then I didn't bother farming anymore. It's just, yeah. Talking melee arcanes for Kuva Ghoul Saw ranked, I would probably say Afflictions is number one. Afflictions on weapons where Affliction works great, it's tied, I think, with Influence because of all of the extra features that it gets. I think it's actually tied. Like, Influence on a lot of weapons is as good as Influence. Afflictions is Influence, whatever. You know what I mean. That it's worth considering. A lot of the other ones, though, aren't very good. Some of the exceptions have to do with Excalibur and the way his scaling works. Like, Corrosive scales really well. Oh, they're too far away. There's some things that scale just really well on Excalibur because of the way Furious Javelin works. Like, exposure works really well. There's an argument for retaliation, but I've been trying to make retaliation good. The problem with retaliation is it scales off of your current shields, so unless you have a way of maintaining shields all the time up, it's not as good as Corrosive in terms of scaling, unless you don't want to mess with your elemental weighing. But for the most part, that's unless you're running a very particular build, like the meme video I made with retaliation. I experimented with that a little bit more, and I just couldn't justify it. Like, you're not getting anything unique with retaliation and exposure, so the weapon itself has to have some really unique stuff built into it to make it worth it. And Exalted Blade is an outlier just in general with how well it scales, but when you have Influence and Chromatic Blade, or just running Afflictions at basically base strength, it's pretty impressive how well it scales. I can show this. Hello, Miner. Hello. I'll be on for another like 30 minutes or so, 30, 40 minutes before I need to consume calories so that I don't continue to lose weight when I'm not trying to. What was I going to show? My not prime. So like I kind of had this set up for retaliation. Yeah, this is still set up for retaliation. So the premise behind this was using expertise, high strength, circumvent to help you get your overshields that then buff retaliation, so that you can get retaliation like the strength value here, so you can get that as high as possible. But it just didn't really pan out. One of the things that's important to understand is precision intensify does actually scale expertise. So like I'll show this. I might be able to show this with do I have another precision? So like 15%. So if you look at base shields right there, so 1400, and you can see it does actually scale it. And if you compare that 1700 versus like intensify, you can see it does actually work. So it's a thing to note. Another thing I learned only yesterday that I've never realized is when you have something like in Precision Intensify equipped, if you hover over the ability, it'll actually change the armor or the strength value. So like right there, it drops it down to 124. You can't really see it underneath that. You can see it right there. But when you hover over this actual ability, I don't remember that being a thing. So I'm wondering if there's more mods they're preparing for that. But I don't remember that being a thing before, unless someone can say whether that's been in the game since they added Precision Intensify. That might be an indication that they're changing things. Right, kitty? Oh, you bellow at me. She's a very talky kitty, too. I think I'll show this. You've never seen me do one of these missions live, so why not? Let's see. So I'm running Guardian, triple Umbral. I have the health dialed up. Alkina. This is correct. Okay. So you never see me do one of these live. Because the important thing to know is that when I do this, I don't one-shot this mission. If you saw my record folder, there's probably 15 recordings for every one completion recording that I have for this. Because there's a lot of RNG. I run into bugs with Trinity quite a lot, where Trinity goes immune. And she'll like do her leech off of me, and then she'll be literally immune for the rest of the mission. But you see that? See how good that is for Okina? Okina and Karn are very good here. So I'm just going to sit in stealth for a moment. I keep thinking I have Circumvent on. Look how much damage this is doing to him when I heavy attack. And then look at how quickly I kill Trinity here. Did she just dodge my heavy attack? So the key thing here is that Guardian, this is where you're kind of playing, you're kind of riding the lightning with Guardian on this because of how much you're banking on not having a heat proc when it expires before it resets, like before you get the refresh of it, because Guardian does not refresh itself. All right, she finally died. I get a little nervous with Ember because of those heat procs. And there you go. I probably didn't keep my health up, but let's see, can she die from just the status procs? But you can see how much status damage she takes. I don't think I get enough charge for last grasp from killing one of these. But yeah, as a little quick demo of how good Okina Prime is. There's so much RNG into this that you'll have failed attempts. Like sometimes I'll go right out into the open or like immediate first hit, I get down. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's the consequence of melee only. The Obex Incarnon. So this is the thing. I can speculate as much as I want about the Destreza and Obex. So I have Destreza primed up. And I have a Riven. Let me see. What Riven do I have for this? Oh. Yeah, I have this Riven. I rolled this, by the way. So I have this waiting because I'm hoping there's something interesting with Blast and that I can go back to like a Blast build with this. Or I hope there's something interesting. I'm hoping maybe Destreza gets like heavy attack waves sort of thing, like an Exalta Blade Light sort of thing. So this is what I have set up for Destreza right now. So I have this like fully awaiting the Incarnate, including Riven. Blast, melee damage. Very good. And then my Obex. I played around with Obex quite a bit. Like I spent a while testing entropy, but I haven't really tested it since. And you notice I have a Riven for this too, so I can gas electric because I've been rolling Obex Rivens, and this is what I rolled. This is what it's gonna stay at for now. I wanted to make sure I at least got something useful just in case. And this isn't even accurate. I was testing the entropy last time I was using it, but I'm hoping their special effects are interesting and good, but I'm not going to hold my breath because I guess to put in perspective, the last one they added was Okina. The last Incarnate melee they added was Okina, and its Incarnate effect is very good. But it is also counterintuitive to like melee Afflictions, just because when it freezes enemies like this, it does in fact inhibit your ability to knock them down. We're gonna do that one more time. This is the problem. When I do the guilty, I keep doing it until I complete it. It feels bad just to go in a couple of times and not complete it, even if I'm just testing something. Do you see Kitty in the corner? Oh, look. You see Kitty. So I've been technically testing the extent of how effective can you get. Die. I'm gonna push it.
Must be chin strapped.
See, like I think I forgot to refresh my my stacks earlier. Like Kitty to not be downed. Thank you. This is easier with Panzer. This is what I'm testing. Like this is so much easier with Panzer. The fact that I can do it with Mr. Bigglesworth here is really testing the limits. Because the healing too. You just get a lot more healing out of Panzer because of quills. Like right here, I haven't refreshed my healing. Die, Trinity, no one likes you. I want to avoid that. Oh, no you don't. No you don't heal your team. Think your shield will stop me? Oh, this might hurt. Goodbye. The most important thing I want to show I'll hopefully be able to show in a second here, as long as Ash doesn't do some really disturbing things to my Warframe. Oh, and Volt. Volt over here? What are you doing? What are you doing over here? Okay. This is what I want to show. This is the most important thing, and hopefully I don't get screwed right off the rip on getting, like, silenced or something. So watch their health. Look at that. That's insane. Now I have to deal with this nonsense. Oh boy. But yeah, the heavy attack from Exalted Blade hits extremely hard against those because it actually procs Influence, or procs, actually don't want to kill those guys. And this is so annoying. It's so annoying. I kind of got unlucky there that I didn't get enough procs on... the flying one, because usually I can one-shot the flying one, or not one-shot, but like, you saw how hard their health was ticking with those heavy attacks. They're hitting in the millions. You can replay older builds of Warframe offline. Oh, I don't know. That doesn't sound legit. I'm gonna stay away from that. I'm also not the type that really has nostalgia. Like, I didn't play WoW Classic when that came out. I didn't really care to play it. I think that's a quick demo there, though, of Persistence, or of the Guilty. And when you get to the DACA list, no matter what melee weapon you use, if you wanted to do it real easily with, like, Okina, I kind of show how powerful that is. This is the Okina build again. With Exposure. Exposure is so powerful in the way it scales because of just out of everything, I found this to be the best in scaling. Yeah, you just give it Toxin because the Toxin combines with the Cold to give you Toxin, Cold, and Viral on the daggers, which is really good. Okay. But what also works really well is just this puppy. I'll do one more. Yeah, the most interesting thing to do back in the beta is what I kind of build crafted on my own. Like, I think this became meta, but I might have been one of those people that sort of figured it out really early on about running like full stamina builds for being able to like do the coptering. Like, I might have been one of the first people that started doing that, like, genuinely. And because back in that day, I really wasn't paying attention to what other people were playing in Warframe. Like, back in the beta, I was just kind of doing my own thing. I just knew the sort of general meta. This is also, you're talking 2013 era, so then, like, content creation and build videos and that kind of stuff just weren't really in the game back then. Or weren't really a thing. It's kind of the advantage of modern gaming right now, is the fact that you have all these crazy, I don't know, you have people like me that actually make build videos that you can go and find. It just wasn't the case back in like 2013. So unless you were part of forums or something, it's like you really couldn't find that information on games back then. But I use it as an example that I was playing the, like, I think what most people end up calling the coptering. I ended up playing that way back in when, like, probably August of 2013. It was when I got into the Void and things were slow and you're having to run a lot doing the mobile defense and exterminate missions where I was like, this is slow. I don't want to have to sit here and wait for stamina to recharge. So then I did experimentation. I'm like looking through and it's like, okay, who's got really good base stamina? If you get enough base stamina and the recharge rate, then you can exceed the consumption of like Orthos Prime and its stamina for meleeing. Because this is another thing to remember. If you didn't play back then, melee weapons had stamina value consumption. So heavier weapons like Orthos had higher cost for you to melee with them, and then that's when you would run out of stamina. Well, Orthos was one of these. Orthos and Fang Prime is what I used back then, and it was really easy to get those both to be 100% just based on attack speed. Fang Prime was one of the more fun ones. It was a little bit harder to do, but didn't have as much range, so it was a little bit more intense gameplay wise, but it was on par. Like I don't think Fang Prime was really ever better than Orthos Prime for the old like stamina style meleeing, but it was on par if you tried hard enough, kind of simply put. I actually brought the wrong weapon for this one because I have the wrong subsume for this build to be running. I should have Wrathful Advance for this. I have like no crit on this weapon for that reason. Why it's not critting. I might as well give this an opportunity to try Exalted Blade and hope it doesn't immediately get disappeared from yeah, see, that doesn't do very well. It's not a lot of damage there. But you can see the theory I've had with Charm is as long as you have over 1500 health, theoretically you should be able to heal more than damage you're taking with the 3-second cooldown on Charm's proc. So like the theory here, if I let it proc, I'll show. See, like the 3-second cooldown that you get on Charm, like it can't proc more than once every 3 seconds. Well, in theory, if you have more than 1500 health, then you'll have enough health before you run out of health for the next charge to be available. It says we're like 1900 health right here might actually be enough, because then you have a little bit of buffer from the problem. You know, it's a 50% chance for you to actually have it proc. So it can't be exactly 1500 if you want to make it guaranteed. But just something to think about. 50% chance is really good. It's as likely to happen as it is to not happen, which is kind of one of those nice little mathematical milestones. I'm just gonna get sick of these nerds. I just want to get to the Dakalus again, so I can show y'all. Stealth gas? No, I've never really messed with stealth gas. I can see where that's useful though, if that's something that people talk about. In case I haven't mentioned it, I don't really look at a lot of other people's builds. I kind of just do my own thing. And so there's things that I learned from y'all in the comment section. I'm like, oh, this is an interaction someone else has figured out. And that's really cool. Kind of helps keep me in the loop, because I existed in my own little bubble for most of this game, where I just play this psychotic melee-only Excalibur.
Time for a break.
Keep acting like I have Circumvent. Let's need a charm buff to the rescue. Yeah, charm buff to the rescue. Make this real quick. Yeah, see, look at that. I basically 3-shot. It's even faster when I have the right subsume for this build. Oh, that's probably what it was too. I think I was running Raffle Advance for that build I was mentioning when I was using heavy attack against a Daclylist. So I might have to actually do that so we can see it. Vortex in the Limbo, stuck enemies in the Rift. That sounds pretty amusing. You won't ever find me actually playing Limbo though, just FYI. Not for any particular reasons against Limbo, it's just I don't really care to play him. Yeah, see those 2 million procs? I think I just killed the air one first. Yeah. There you go. Easy. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Now the part that sometimes takes forever. I go for the chest first just in case, because this thing gets pretty intense. Usually if I fail a run, I fail it in the Vanguard because of how RNG'd the Vanguard can be. Sometimes you'll literally have Trinity go status immune and full immune just right off the rip. She'll do like the Well of Life on your Warframe and then she's immune and you can't do anything. I have not found a way around that other than just dying. A lot of times it's not even necessarily dying, it's just the fact that I can't kill her. So I just leave. Sometimes this part takes forever. If I have the wrong Mechanizaw build, like I do now. There we go. My other Mechanizaw build can one-shot these. It just has a lot more damage, and a lot more crit. Actually, at this rate, I'm better off just using Operator to kill him. Why Operator does that much damage to those, I have no idea. But it is a nice feature. Oh boy. 2 health. All I need to survive. And you want to go for headshots? Well, it's what I think I demonstrate here too, technically with this. Like, if I wanted to, I could probably just copy and paste a lot of this configuration onto any Warframe and get those Acolyte glyphs. I don't care to do that. I haven't done any of the other Acolyte glyphs, but like this translates pretty quickly, and obviously I'm doing melee only, and you could probably use like Hema to get the lifesteal, the Coda Hema. That would probably work pretty nicely here too. Probably be worth trying. And get the lifesteal from this and just survive with persistence like I am. Yeah, crit scales really well here, and I do not have any crit on this, because this Zaw is designed specifically to use Wrathful Lance, and I do not have Wrathful Lance. I have a subsume that doesn't really matter on a build that has infinite lifesteal. Almost done though. Oh. And what's nice is if you don't kill any of these things, you can usually last grasp off of them. Usually. I might as well do this though. Oh yeah. Exodia Contagion. Well, keep in mind that Flagstar or the Halloween event, Knights of Neighborus, will be available at any point to make Exodia Contagion available. So there was one year where it was actually before 1999 when I was trying to hit Mastery Cap, like when I was finally just making that stretch to just be at Mastery Cap, that I needed the Plague Kiwar. I think that's what you'd say that. And then, of course, it had to be the one year where they forgot to add. So I was waiting for Neighborus for probably like 3 or 4 months for that to be like the only thing I don't have in the game already mastered. And then Plaguestar didn't happen that year, so I was like, okay, well, it's gonna show up at Knights of Neighborus, right? Well, that was like the one time where they forgot to add it to the store, and so I had to make it. I didn't make a support ticket. I made a forum thread to be like, hey, you guys forgot to add it, and then they finally did. That's the thing. Next time Neighborus comes around, make sure to buy the Kiwar blueprint and the Kripith, at least so you can get it for mastery, because it's the only time you can get it. Supposedly, it'll show up in the random rotation from Hawk, where sometimes it'll show up, but I've never seen it. I spent like a couple months checking it every day just to see if it would show up, and it didn't. This is the fun, like, bug part right here. I'm just waiting. So then all I do here is I avoid the beams, and then you have to make sure you don't drain all your ammo when she does that, so that you can actually kill these things, because they will one-shot you if you don't kill it in time. I don't know if you have to kill all 4 of them. I haven't stuck around, let them stick around too long to find out. What? Okay, that was basically done. I must have not been paying attention somewhere. Let's see. Can I actually see? Did I not kill the things? No, I don't know. Well, close enough. I don't think I've actually failed that far into it. Let's see. How much health did she have? I was halfway through the last bar. Oh, well. I'll call that close enough. Put back on the gold saw. But I haven't been really enjoying this build. I've just been testing some things on the guilty fight, and had my prime set up with the extra health for that reason. But I don't really see a reason to not play Umbra when I'm playing this exact build, because the difference between Prime and Umbra in this is basically null. Like, I don't get the sentience when I play it on Prime. This is probably one of the few builds where, like, Umbra is potentially better, because why not use the sentience in this case? But if you do use the subsume, just keep in mind that the subsume will not be fun or do some weird things. You don't want to run this on normal Excalibur, because you otherwise have to sacrifice some amount of crit damage, because you either got to use a starting energy or a max energy shard, or there's no point in reducing these down to the red. Just FYI, like, you lose what, 0.5%. So even if you're running normal Excalibur, just consider the fact that the 37.5 from the red ones that aren't conditional to get the bonus, you're only losing 0.5 using a red versus a purple. And then if you have the ability to get over this 500, that's worth at least one of these. So in this scenario, it would be you'd actually be better off removing the second one, putting a starting energy shard on normal Excalibur to get double on this, because the consequence of you doing that and using 2 reds is that you don't get extra energy. It comes out to 1% less, I guess. 1% less crit damage. I'll take the extra energy over 1% crit damage. That's assuming you don't have the limitation of not having purple shards in this scenario. That's the baseline. Let me see. Yeah. I might as well top this off while I'm here with what actually makes sense. I've been using these, so this is a problem. I'll hide this real quick. I've been using these for my for my helmet for quite a while, to where I don't have the invincible title because I didn't save these. If I wasn't using them pretty often before the patch, I probably would have just been able to buy that title. But the things, same thing with like the Harrow. I had to wait to get the Harrow title because I had like salvaged those quite often just to get rid of them. Okay. I still have not used this Invigoration, even though it expires in 38 minutes. I feel like it would just break my builds, and I spend most of my time testing builds. So then why break my builds? Even though it only applies to one version of Excalibur, I don't really want to ruin my Excalibur's build crafting for a week. Okay, let me think. Before I get off to consume calories, are there any more questions? Hello, hello. Glad you could make it as I'm about to finish. Let me look at chat real quick. Truth's flame stacks, avenging truth, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely the downside too, and maybe I haven't even checked this real quick. What melee weapon? I'm trying to think of what melee weapon. Sancti? Does a Sancti have one? So does this prevent me? Okay, so you can. So on other configs, so I'll show this. This is something to keep in mind. On like the Coat of Mire, if you go to apply with Blight, so I feel like this is more useful. But if you go to apply it, you can only have one of those syndicate mods on at a time. Just a little fun fact for you. But if it has an innate effect, like I was just testing with the Sancti. Oh my goodness. The Sancti does in fact let you do that. So they didn't like prevent you from using this mod because it has an innate effect. That'd have been pretty lame if that happened. What stance on Okina? No, so like when I tested the stances for dual daggers for a while, I came to the conclusion that this is the best one by far because of the mobility. The downside to it is if you're on controller, this sucks. This absolutely sucks on controller because you can't do the like figure 8 to keep the forward ability, like the forward momentum. So the forward momentum on Gnashing is a lot like Butcher's Reveille on the Ghoul Saw, where like you just press W and you hold left mouse button and then you can keep meleeing as long as you're moving forward. The same applies to Kuva Ghoul Saw. If you can figure 8 with it, you can continue to do that. But as soon as you stop and you do the neutral attack, it does like the slash with the Ghoul Saw. On this, it does the like stab animation. And the stab animation kind of sucks. It's not fast. It doesn't seem like it's very good. And that's like this guy, I think. Just the normal, or yeah, it's just the normal. So like this guy, like it has guaranteed procs and stuff, but it just feels bad. Like it's slow, it feels bad. If you have enough attack speed, it doesn't feel too bad, but That's just something to keep in mind. I'd rather do the figure 8 and continuously hit, because the heavy attacks from Tennokai is really what's going to do most of the damage. If you're looking at the way I was doing it on the Guilty, you kind of figure 8 around them. The same thing applies to Ghoulsaw. Ghoulsaw has the same exact feature. It's kind of why like Butcher's Reveille is so good, is that it has the forward mobility and just constant attacking that Gnashing Payara has. It's got a really good just neutral attack. It's got Blind Justice level mobility with the rip and ride. This is like as good as Nami Solo on like the fact that you can just do the spin move. It's basically the same as that. And then it has probably the best heavy attack in the game. With how many attacks this does, it's probably the best heavy attack in the game. Hello, hello. How do you do the ranged attack with the Zaw? That's the double jump aim glide with Zaw Seth. I'll put on the big boy. Do I have different coloration? No, okay. So like this is the Zaw I actually wanted to use here, because it actually has built-in what I should have equipped it. It has built-in higher crit chance. But it's Exodia Contagion. So this is where double jump, you can also do like a slide bullet jump into it and trigger it, the effect, but you have to like double jump in order to trigger this. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. I do have a video covering that. I do have a video covering like advanced Blind Justice, Nikana Zaw sort of type gameplay that I go into some detail on how to do that. Very, very powerful. It is probably one of the most, it's probably top 3 for most powerful melee thing in the game. I think Exalted Blade's definitely up there, and then you have this, and you have, what else comes to mind? Yeah, I can't even really think of other things that even come close. This is like a feature as a melee. This is Exodia Contagion is probably on par with Influence and Afflictions for like a feature add to melee. It's probably top 3 for melee arcanes, even though it's not really a melee arcane. It's a Zaw arcane. For arcanes on melee weapons, it is top 3. Okay, back to Ghoulsaw. Okay. Yeah, so I think this is the time where I need to eat food, because I have to go to bed in like 3 hours to wake up early for day shift. Just coming off night shift, going on to day shift. Any more questions before we conclude here? Yeah. I have a bunch of time next week that I'll be off, so you might see some videos on a bunch of the testing that I do. I kind of do some testing during the week when I get time to play, like hour or two, depending on the day. And then I'll usually, when I actually get time off, I will make the actual videos. I feel like I get the time for that. I don't think there should be a way to get more versions of Prime. I think genuinely the simplest solution and the easiest to implement is just buffing normal Excalibur, because then founders can just use normal Excalibur if they want multiple versions and multiple copies of Excalibur that has like no compromises. And then keeping Umbra and Prime as these one only use gimmicks or novelties. I think that's probably the way to do it. Dedicated video on Umbra Spectre potential. I've been testing a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff I've been testing to try to maximize the Spectre that's currently in progress. So maybe next week I might have a video covering it, or I might, if I don't have anything really interesting to put out, I might put out a video anyways, just sort of covering over some of the things that I've learned. That name sounds familiar. I'm trying to remember. There's someone that has a whole list of things on things that they found on the forums for his Spectre. And let's see. And there's some things that I've learned that weren't on there, or some things that have been changed or updated that do work. But for the most part, there's some gimmicks on it, and really, if you wanted the TLDR of how to make his Spectre the most effective, it's use a Sentinel. Use a Sentinel and just let the Sentinel follow Umbra around and do his job for him. Because the AI on him is... I was going to use a strong word. The AI on him is horrible. It's dumb. It's not very good at its job. And unless they improve that, if they ever improve his AI on Umbra, it's going to be hard to not run, especially with how they've slowly been fixing bugs on his Spectre, on his sentience mode. Oh, let's see. Oh yeah, my 153 amp, it's too much fun. I try to use other amps and I'm just like, this is too much. I'm so used to the just void sling and then hit your alt fire and then just let it go. I'm so used to that at this point. It's just too much fun. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. And it's going to be time for me to consume food, get my 3,000 calories in, hopefully stop going down in weight. Maybe I should just do less cardio, but it is what it is. And yeah, and thank you guys for joining and asking your questions. And yeah, thanks.